Ski preparation for a race day. Inspect the ski for the edge sharpness. Always start with the edges first, then you go to the base prep and the wax for the day, for the temperature range. Always start with the base edge first, and then you do the side edges. These edges are in pretty good shape. They've been done several times. You have a file that you can use for a heavy cut because the edges are in pretty good shape. We have some diamond stones and various grits. 200 grit that I'll start with, finish up with a 400 grit. This is the angle of the base bevel, holds the diamond file. Put it on the ski, make a few passes with it. We put a little bit of water on it on occasion to keep it lubricated. You can hear it cutting. Gets a little dirty, you gotta adjust it for a new cutting edge. Takes all the burrs, puts a nice sharp edge on it so you can grip the snow or the ice, whatever the occasion may be, on the race course. Check it for any burrs, for sharpness. Still feels a little rough. A couple more passes. Starting to get a little dry. Some water on it. We'll do the other edge. There's some burrs that you hear. Sharpening those, knocking them off. Sometimes you hit rocks in the snow.
Is a burr an indent or is it like a lump on the edge?
When it hits, it's an indent in one spot, but it creates a lump in one direction or another. That's what you want to take off.
So the burr in the edge, the indent isn't bad, but the lump is?
Right, the lump sticks out and it drags in the snow. The indent is alright. Eventually you cut past that with a file when they get real bad, but you want to maintain about 90% of the edge being good, so when it gets so bad, you'll take the indents with the heavy file that I showed you first, and it cuts off enough steel to get past those. But this ski's in pretty good shape, so that's not necessary at this time. Good light, you can actually see it hit the whole edge. You can also hear it and feel it while you're sliding the file along the ski. That feels good. That's the 200 grit. We're going to move to the 400 grit. This just polishes it a little bit. The more polished it is, the easier it slides through the snow or the ice with less drag. Get that edge with a 400. For the other side.
That sounds nice.
This side does seem like it's in pretty good shape. That'd be all the prep for the base edge, which would be the bottom side. That feels pretty good. And we'll flip it up on edge for the side edge. Use the same stones. Clean this one off a little bit, get the metal out of it. Use a little different jig. It's got a certain degree that the edge has been cut at with the file from previous tunes. A little bit of water for lubrication. Take a clamp to hold the file on there. Want to make sure it's on there flat. Do the same thing on the side. Kind of here where it hits some of those burrs. Just cutting off. Feel down if it doesn't snag your finger, and you know you probably got those burrs out of the way. There's a little indent there, but there's no more burr that's sticking out.
Will an indent drag in the snow?
It's not preferred, but if you cut the edge all the time, you shorten the life of the ski, because once you get past all the edge, there's no more edge and you can't put a new one on. You can't put new steel on the ski. You can only use what's there, which is why one of the reasons that there's a lifespan on skis. This one's got some water on it still, wasn't too dirty. It's the 400. You can tell it's not making much noise. It's not as aggressive. Just kind of polishing out any marks that we left in there with the 200 grit. Pretty sharp. No burrs.
Could you tell us about the files that you use for cutting the edge?
So similar files that called bastard files in like machine shops. They're hardened, which is harder than the steel on the edges. This is a fine Swix, fairly aggressive. This one's stainless steel. It's one of the better ones. These files will work. This is typically what you would see. This is a fine, also a second cut file. Each file leaves its marks in. So you go with a heavier cut file, then to a finer one. The less marks you have in it, the smoother the edge will be. And that's why I finish up with these stones. Takes any marks that the files might leave in there. This is a carbide, fairly hard. This one here is made of stainless. It lasts much longer, also much more expensive. But I try not to go to those unless I have to.
How much does each cut shorten the lifespan of the ski? Or does it depend on how much you cut?
It does how many passes you take with the file or how deep the nicks are that you're getting out. This file, you could still get easily a couple years out of a ski which would be probably, probably even 4 years, where you hit it with this file 7, 8, 9 times a year. Let's say 10 to make it easy math, times 4 years. You can get, 40 good tunes that'll get it back to like new condition out of a ski.
Does grinding take away bass or lifespan?
Grinding the skis, absolutely. That does very similar to what the file does. And after the grind, you have to take the grind marks out with a file anyway. So anything you do in preparation takes some life away from the ski. But a lot of times, it's just the energy that gets used up in the ski from skiing it so much more than the tune itself that takes the full life. The more you use a ski, the less stiffness it retains. And the softer the ski gets, the less energy you get, which is what propels you down the hill, makes you faster.
Thank you for that sharpening segment, and that should be helpful to most of us.